What's up, guys? Here we are with lower back pain part 2, and today we're going to talk about, that upper butt region I was talking about before. We already designated the lower back. We went through some mobility, upper body mobility exercises to help the compensations in the lower spine. Now we're going to talk about that sacral area, that upper butt, and what we can do for any pain around this region. I got my buddy Jack here today, and he's going to help us out with a couple of exercises. He's going to demonstrate them for us. So Jack, go ahead and get into a piriformis foam rolling for me. So you're going to be sitting on the foam roller. He's going to go on, let's stay on the right side just for argument's sake. He's going to stay on the right side. He's going to take his right heel. He's going to cross it over his left knee. And what I want him to do is just roll back and forth on the foam roller. And he's going to find a tender area. If we're just generally foam rolling, it's okay to roll back and forth just to warm the tissue up. But when we're trying to do corrective exercise and strengthen up certain tissues, we want to find that real tender area. Once he's got it, he's going to hold it for a 30 count. And after he holds it for a 30 count, he's just going to go again and slowly massage that muscle out. So let's pretend he did a great job for 30 seconds. Now he's going to flip onto his anterior side. And Jack, hit your TFL for me. So where he's going to roll is located, if you find your iliac crest, you find that pubic bone right here. If you travel down, the muscle right underneath there is called your TFL. That connects right into the IT band, and a lot of times that's what's rounding our pelvis forward or tilting it to one side and can cause some lower back discomfort. So he's going to find that TFL, and he's going to take his right shoulder. If he's on his left side, he's going to take his right shoulder, roll over just a little bit because it's more on that anterior side than the posterior side. Again, he's going to roll and find that one tender spot. This may be a difficult area to find with a foam roller, so if you have a medicine ball or a tennis ball, that could work a lot better for you. Once he finds that tender spot, again, he's going to sit on it for 30 seconds, take nice, big diaphragmatical breaths, and just relax into it for 30, and after 30 seconds, he's slowly going to roll it out. Now, once we've lengthened out those tissues, he's going to come over to his mat, and we're going to bang out a couple of stretches. So the first one I want him to do is come down into a kneeling hip flexor stretch. And a lot of times you'll see people sit their hips forward when they're doing a kneeling hip flexor stretch, and all that's really doing is shearing the anterior pelvic girdle. We don't want to put too much stress on the femur and that attachment point. So to take away some of the stress, all I want him to focus on doing is having a nice tall chest, core tight, not compensating in the spine. We don't want a big arch back here. I'm going to ask him to squeeze his glute on the side that the knee is down on. So he's going to squeeze his right butt cheek and try to sit as tall as he can by driving that femur into the ground. And that should be enough to give him a good stretch in that hip flexor. If he wants a little more, he's going to raise his arm up in the air and reach across his body to really open that hip flexor up. If that's still not enough, you can guide him by just lifting this foot in the back here, and this will also hit him in the quad as well. Okay? Then he's going to go right into his cobra stretch. And this is a great stretch for not only the iliopsoas, which are part of our hip flexors that deal with some back pain, but also for our abdominals, which a lot of times tilt our pelvis this way and can cause some inflammation in the back. So he's going to break it right down to the ground. And one thing we're worried about is his pelvis. When he lifts his chest up off the ground, he doesn't really want to be feeling this in the lower back. So Jack, go ahead and come on up. And he wants to try and keep his hips. See how high his hips are off the ground? Right away I can tell that he's extra tight in his abdominal region because his hips are so high off the ground. If that's so, I know he probably is feeling a lot of tension in his lower back or way too much in his abdominal region. So if your hips are too high off the ground, come back down to the starting position, walk your hands slightly out in front of your body to decrease the stress. Now he's going to lift right back up again. And now his hips are much closer to the ground, so that's probably a lot more comfortable position for him. And I just want him to think about breathing into his stomach to stretch out those abdominals and lifting his rib cage to really open up that anterior side of his body. Okay, and the last stretch we're going to do, Jack's going to come up and he's going to show us a TFL stretch. We already opened up the TFL on the foam roller. Now we're going to open up with a stretch. He's going to put his left foot in front. He's going to put his right foot behind, externally rotate that foot just a little, slight bend in the left knee, and then he's going to push into his hip on that left side and raise his arm up in the air to stretch it out. One thing we don't want to do is put too much arch in the back, You want to keep the core tight, stay forward, that way we can focus on the hip and not the lower back. Your stretches you want to hold from anywhere from 20 to 30 seconds. Once we've done all that, I know it's a long process, but once we've done all that, we'll go into 2 strengthening exercises. The first one, I'll demonstrate for you guys. We're going to hold a light kettlebell on our chest, feet a little wider than shoulder width, toes out. We're going to drop down into a squat, spread our knees, open up those adductors for a 5 count. Come back up. From the side, you'll notice that I don't round my pelvis at the bottom. That's a huge mistake. Keep that pelvis pointed out with a slight arch in the back, chest up, back tight, shoulders squeeze down, and come on up. You're going to repeat that for 8 reps. After that, Jack, I want you to go ahead and demonstrate this one for us. Jack is going to do a box squat with the PVC pipe on his back. And notice that the box is really, really low. A lot of times when people squat, we only go to 90 degrees. We want to get as deep as we can to really open up those hip flexors and mobilize them. Stretching is not enough. You got to teach your body the correct posture to move. He's going to try and bring his ribs down. Jack is a little immobile through his chest, so we're going to do the best we can. If it's a little too tight, it's okay. You just elevate the bar a little bit. Now he's relaxed a little more. And he's going to squat down for that box, reaching with his hips. And notice, if you come around, Dave, he's nice and flat right here in the back. He's not rounding. Jack, go ahead and round your pelvis for me. He's not rounding at his pelvis, okay? He's nice and tight. He's flat. That means he's really extending his hip flexors to get him through that range of motion. It's an uncomfortable position, but like I always say, if it ain't hurt, you ain't doing it right. So Jack's going to go ahead and stand right back up. Come back down, do about 3 reps, and he's just going to tap, rest for a second, and come back up. Notice how he doesn't rock back, he doesn't relax, he keeps tension on the muscles, and they're really starting to lengthen out, mobilizing his hip flexors, which in turn is going to take all that pressure off that sacral area. Okay, so you got your foam rolling techniques, you have your stretching techniques, and then you have your strengthening techniques. The foam rolling and stretching, all you need is 1 set of each exercise. The strengthening and mobile exercise, 3 sets of each, and you guys should be good to go. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you appreciate it.